For as long as I have lived, my world has been defined by the rhythm of the earth and the whispers of the ancestors. My name is Takoda, and I am a keeper of my tribe's traditions, a bridge between the wisdom of the past and the lives of those who follow. The sacred ways of my people have shaped my identity. Our dances that honor the spirits, our chants that call to the wind, and our rituals that mark the passing of seasons. Every sunrise has been a prayer, every step a connection to the soil beneath me. The river speaks to us, its current carrying stories of generations before. The stars in the night sky are our ancestors, watching, guiding, reminding us that we are not alone. As a tribal elder, it has been my duty to keep these traditions alive, to protect the sacred, and to teach the young ones that everything around us is a living spirit. But as much as I have cherished these truths, there has always been something I could not name, a quiet unease that rested just below the surface. It began as a small whisper in my heart, a question I was too proud to ask. The rituals we perform, the dances, the offerings, the ceremonies brought beauty and connection. Yes, but did they bring me closer to the Creator? Was I truly in harmony with the divine? Or was I simply going through motions that had been passed down to me? These thoughts were not ones I could voice aloud. Among my people, I was seen as strong, wise, and unwavering in my faith to the spirits and the land. To question these things would risk my position, my respect, and perhaps my identity. And so I buried the unease, covering it with the rhythm of life, guiding ceremonies, teaching the children, and caring for the land that sustained us. Life moved steadily as it always had, until the night everything changed. It began with a simple gathering, a fire circle beneath the stars where the community came together to honor the harvest. The flames danced high, casting shadows on the faces of my people as the drums echoed into the night. I stood at the center, leading the chants, offering prayers to the spirits of the earth and sky. It was a scene of unity, of sacred connection, but deep within, that whisper of longing returned, louder this time, pressing against my heart. Later that evening, as the fire dimmed and the people returned to their homes, I stayed behind, gazing at the embers. The stars above seemed brighter than usual, their light cutting through the darkness. For a moment, I let the weight of my unspoken questions rise to the surface. Is this enough? I murmured aloud, unsure who or what I was asking. Are these traditions all there is? Or is there something more I cannot see? The answer did not come that night, but the events that followed would soon shake the very foundation of my life. It began with an ache in my chest the next morning, a dull, persistent pain that I brushed aside. I had work to do, preparations to make for the coming winter. Elders do not rest easily, and I was no exception. But as the day wore on, the ache grew sharper, radiating through my body like a storm brewing from within. By the time the sun began to set, I could barely stand. Takoda, you must rest, my son said, his eyes filled with worry as he helped me to my bed. But even as he spoke, I felt a heaviness settling over me, a weight that was not just physical but spiritual. My vision blurred, the walls of my home seeming to close in around me. I tried to speak, to reassure him, but the words caught in my throat. And then everything went black. I was falling, or at least that's what it felt like. A weightless descent into something I couldn't see, couldn't comprehend. There was no pain, no sound, only a strange stillness that wrapped around me like a blanket. For a moment, I wondered if this was death, if my time had finally come. But even in the stillness, I felt a sense of anticipation, as though I were on the edge of discovering something far greater than I had ever known. When the darkness began to shift, I saw faint glimmers of light in the distance, like stars scattered across an endless skyati. And then I heard it. A voice, not loud, but clear, resonating in a way that filled me with both peace and awe. It wasn't a voice I recognized, yet it felt deeply familiar, as though it had been with me all along. "Takoda," the voice said, gentle yet commanding, "come." I didn't know what lay ahead, but I knew I had to follow. The whispers in my heart, the questions I had buried for so long, were about to be answered. Whatever this journey was, it was not an ending. It was the beginning of something I could never have imagined. The stillness that surrounded me was unlike anything I had ever experienced. I was weightless, suspended in a void that seemed to stretch endlessly in all directions. Slowly the darkness began to shift, giving way to faint shapes and colors. At first, it was comforting, familiar even. I recognized symbols from my life and traditions. The great eagle soaring above, its wings cutting through the sky, the sacred river flowing gently, its waters shimmering under an unseen light, the oak trees standing tall, their roots intertwined as though holding the world together. As I moved or was drawn through this space, the figures of my ancestors appeared. Their faces were serene, their presence warm and welcoming. I felt a rush of gratitude and familiarity. These were the spirits I had prayed to, the ones I had called upon during ceremonies and sought guidance from in times of uncertainty. They didn't speak, but their gazes carried a silent understanding. For a moment, I thought this was the culmination of everything I had believed, the spiritual realm I had devoted my life to honoring. But then, the scene began to change. The shimmering waters grew murky, the gentle flow slowing to an unsettling stillness. The trees, once vibrant and full of life, seemed to wither before my eyes, their branches twisting into gnarled shapes. The eagle, so majestic moments before, faltered in its flight, its powerful wings suddenly heavy. I felt a pang of unease as the once welcoming warmth began to fade, replaced by a creeping chill that seeped into every part of me. The figures of my ancestors grew dim, their faces blurred and distant. I reached out to them, desperate for the comfort they had provided just moments ago. But they seemed to dissolve like mist, leaving me alone in a vast, shadowy expanse. The darkness pressed in, heavy and suffocating, and for the first time, I felt truly afraid. "Where am I?" I whispered, my voice trembling. "What is happening?" The silence that followed was deafening. I searched the void for any sign of the familiar, but there was nothing. No stars, no river, no life. My heart pounded as the weight of the emptiness settled over me. It was as though the very foundation of my beliefs had been stripped away, leaving me exposed and vulnerable. I sank to my knees, overwhelmed by the oppressive stillness. In that moment, the questions I had buried for so long surged to the surface, demanding answers. Have I been wrong? I murmured, my voice breaking. Have I misunderstood everything? As the words left my lips, a faint light appeared in the distance. It was small at first, barely more than a flicker, but it grew steadily brighter, cutting through the darkness like the first rays of dawn. The light wasn't harsh or blinding. It was warm, inviting, and filled with a sense of peace that I hadn't felt in years. I stood, drawn to the light despite my fear. With each step, the darkness seemed to recede, the heavy weight lifting from my shoulders. The light grew closer, and I realized it wasn't just light. It was a presence, a being radiating love and power beyond anything I had ever encountered. Takoda, the voice came again, clear and resonant. It wasn't like the silent gazes of the ancestors or the whispers of the wind. This voice was alive, full of authority and compassion. It spoke directly to my soul, calling me forward with an urgency I couldn't ignore. Who are you? I asked, my voice trembling. What is this place? The light grew brighter, and within it I saw a figure. He stepped forward, his form radiant and his gaze filled with love that pierced through my fear. His hands bore marks, scars that glowed faintly, as though they were part of his very being. He didn't need to say his name. I knew it in my heart the moment I saw him. Jesus, I whispered, the name unfamiliar on my tongue, yet deeply familiar in my spirit. Is it really you? He nodded, his expression kind yet firm. I am, he said, his voice steady. You have sought the Creator through your traditions, through the beauty of the earth and the wisdom of your people. But now I have come to show you the fullness of truth. My heart raced as his words sank in. The Creator. You are the Creator? I asked, my voice filled with both awe and confusion. I am the Creator of all things, he replied, his gaze unwavering. The earth, the skies, the waters you honor, I made them. The spirits you revered were glimpses of my handiwork, but they were never meant to replace me. His words shook me to my core. Everything I had believed, everything I had devoted my life to preserving, suddenly felt incomplete. I thought of the countless ceremonies, the prayers offered to the spirits, the rituals performed with care and devotion. Had I been seeking the Creator in the wrong way all along? Jesus stepped closer, his presence filling the space around us with warmth and light. Your devotion was not wasted, he said, as though reading my thoughts. Your heart sought the truth, even when you didn't fully understand it. And now I am here to reveal that truth to you. Tears filled my eyes as I dropped to my knees, overwhelmed by the magnitude of what I was experiencing. I don't understand, I said, my voice breaking. Why now? Why me? Because I love you, he said simply, his words carrying a depth that I couldn't fully grasp. And because your story is not finished, there is more for you to see, more for you to do. The light around him grew even brighter, and I felt a peace unlike anything I had ever known. The questions, the doubts, the emptiness, they began to fade. replaced by a sense of clarity and purpose. For the first time in my life, I felt truly seen, truly known, and truly loved. As I knelt there, bathed in His light, I realized that everything I had longed for, everything I had sought through the traditions of my people, had been pointing to this moment. The Creator I had prayed to, the harmony I had pursued, the connection I had cherished, it all found its fulfillment in Him. The light surrounding Jesus was unlike anything I could describe, a brilliance that didn't blind but instead illuminated everything around me. His presence was overwhelming yet gentle, His gaze piercing yet full of love. I felt completely exposed, as though every part of me, every thought, every action, every intention was laid bare before Him. But instead of judgment, I felt an embrace, a warmth that soothed the deepest wounds in my soul. "Takoda," Jesus said, His voice steady and kind, "you have spent your life seeking the Creator. Your heart longed for truth, and your devotion to the ways of your people reflected that longing. But now I will show you the fullness of who I am." I opened my mouth to speak, but no words came. I felt unworthy to stand in His presence, and yet He didn't turn away. His eyes held mine, and in them I saw something I had never seen before: grace. It wasn't something I could earn or something I deserved. It was simply given freely and abundantly. "Everything you have cherished, the rivers, the mountains, the sky, they are my creation," He continued. "The spirits you revered were reflections of my handiwork, but they were never the source. I am the Creator, the one true God who formed the earth and breathed life into all things." His words were both comforting and challenging. My mind raced as I thought of the countless ceremonies, prayers, and rituals I had performed over the years. They had been beautiful, sacred, and meaningful, but now I realized they had only been shadows of the greater truth standing before me. "I thought I knew you," I whispered, my voice trembling. "Through the wind, the water, the fire, I thought I was honoring you." "You were honoring glimpses of me," Jesus said gently. "Your heart sought what your eyes could not yet see, and now I am here to reveal the fullness of who I am." As He spoke, the light around us began to shift, forming a panoramic view of my life. I saw myself as a child, sitting by the river and listening to the stories of my elders. I saw the first ceremony I led as a young adult, my hands trembling with both fear and excitement as I called upon the spirits to guide us. I saw the faces of my people, their eyes filled with trust and reverence as I carried out my duties as an elder. "These moments were beautiful," Jesus said, His voice filled with kindness. "They reflected your desire to honor the divine, but they were incomplete." The scenes shifted, and I saw moments that were harder to witness, times when I had let pride or anger guide my actions, when I had spoken harshly to those who questioned our ways, when I had allowed my own doubts to fester rather than seeking answers. I saw the pain in the eyes of those I had hurt, the disconnection my words had caused. Tears streamed down my face as the weight of those moments pressed on my heart. "I failed," I murmured, my voice breaking. I thought I was doing what was right, but I failed. You didn't fail, Jesus said, placing a hand on my shoulder. His touch was warm, steady, and filled with reassurance. You were searching, and in your search, you stumbled. But even then, my grace was with you. I was with you. The scenes shifted again, this time showing moments I had forgotten or overlooked. I saw myself comforting a grieving mother after the loss of a child, my words bringing her a sense of peace. I saw a young boy watching me during a ceremony, his eyes wide with curiosity and wonder. I saw a neighbor I had helped during a difficult winter, the gift of firewood and food giving her hope to endure. These moments, Jesus said, were reflections of my love. Even when you didn't know me fully, my spirit worked through you. Your kindness, your care, your devotion, these were glimpses of who I am. My heart swelled as I watched these moments unfold, the light of His truth illuminating every detail. For the first time, I began to understand that my life had not been a series of disconnected actions, but a tapestry woven with threads of grace and purpose. But Takoda, Jesus said, his tone growing more serious, there were also moments when you relied on tradition rather than relationship. You honored the works of your hands but missed the heart of the Creator. Your rituals pointed to me, but they could not bring you closer to me. The weight of His words settled over me, but it wasn't the crushing weight of condemnation. It was the loving conviction of truth. I nodded slowly, my tears falling freely. I see it now, I said quietly. I see how I missed you even when I thought I was close. Jesus knelt before me, his eyes level with mine. You are not condemned, Takoda, he said firmly. You are loved. And now you are invited into something greater, a relationship with me, not through rituals or works, but through grace. He extended his hand, and as I took it, I felt a warmth unlike anything I had ever known. It wasn't just external, it filled every part of me, washing away the doubts, the guilt, and the longing that had haunted me for so long. I felt whole, seen, and accepted in a way I had never experienced before. This is the power of grace, Jesus said, his voice gentle. It is not earned, it is given. It is not based on what you have done, but on what I have done for you. My love for you is not conditional, it is eternal. As he spoke, the light around us grew brighter, enveloping me in its warmth. I felt a peace that I couldn't fully explain, a peace that came from knowing that I was loved, not for what I had done, but for who I was, a child of the Creator, redeemed and restored by His grace. Your life is not over, Takoda, Jesus said, his gaze steady and filled with purpose. There is more for you to see, more for you to do. But it begins here, with me. The light around us dimmed slightly, shifting into a calm but somber glow. Jesus stepped back, his gaze tender yet serious. I could feel a shift in the atmosphere, a weight that pressed on my heart. Takoda, he said, his voice steady, there is something you must see. It will not be easy, but it is necessary. Before I could respond, the space around us began to transform. The golden light faded, replaced by a hazy vision that gradually sharpened into clarity. I was no longer in the comforting presence of Jesus alone. Instead, I stood on the familiar soil of my village, surrounded by the people I loved. It looked like home, at least at first. But as I watched, something felt wrong. The vibrant colors of the land seemed muted, the trees lifeless, the river sluggish and grey. My people were gathered around a ceremonial fire, performing the rituals I had led countless times, yet their faces were strained, their movements mechanical. There was no joy, no connection, only a hollow repetition of what had once been sacred. "What is this?" I whispered, my voice trembling. "This is what happens when truth is ignored," Jesus replied, his tone both firm and compassionate. "You led them here, Takoda, not intentionally, not out of malice, but through a lack of understanding. Your devotion to tradition became a barrier to truth, and now they follow your example." I felt a pang of guilt as I watched the people I cared for stumble through the motions of their faith, their eyes filled with confusion and exhaustion. "I didn't know," I murmured. "I thought I was leading them toward the Creator." Jesus stepped closer, his presence steadying me. "And now you do know," he said. "But what you do with this knowledge is up to you. Will you continue down this path, or will you choose to guide them to me?" The vision shifted again, and I saw myself standing before the fire. I was older, my face lined with age and weariness. My voice rang out, leading the chants and prayers, but there was no conviction in my words. The people around me echoed my chants, but their faces reflected the same emptiness I had seen earlier. It was as if we were all trapped in a cycle that offered no life, no connection, no truth. "Takoda," Jesus said, his voice filled with both love and urgency, "this is the cost of rejecting truth. If you return unchanged, your people will continue to walk in darkness, believing they are honoring me but never truly knowing me. Their rituals will become empty, their hearts distant, their souls unfulfilled." I turned to him, tears streaming down my face. "But they trust me," I said, my voice breaking. "If I have led them astray, how can I ever make it right?" "You cannot change the past," he replied gently, "but you can transform the future. The truth has been revealed to you, and with it comes a responsibility. Your testimony has the power to open their eyes, to show them the grace and love they have been longing for." The vision shifted once more, and this time I saw a different outcome. I was standing among my people again, but the atmosphere was entirely changed. The river flowed with life, its water sparkling under a radiant sun. The trees stood tall and strong, their branches swaying gently in a warm breeze. My people were gathered, not around a fire, but in a circle of light that seemed to emanate from above. I was speaking, my voice steady and filled with conviction. "The Creator is not distant," I said. "He is not hidden behind rituals or traditions. He has revealed himself fully, and his name is Jesus." The faces around me lit up with understanding, their eyes brimming with hope and joy. Some wept, others smiled, and a few knelt, their hands lifted in gratitude. I could see the light spreading from one person to the next, a ripple of transformation that extended far beyond our village. "This," Jesus said, his voice soft yet powerful, "is what happens when truth is embraced. Your people are set free, not from their culture, but from the bondage of incomplete understanding. Their traditions find fulfillment in me and their hearts are restored. The vision faded and I was once again standing in the golden glow of His presence. My heart felt heavy yet hopeful, the weight of the choice before me pressing on my spirit. I don't know if I'm strong enough, I admitted, my voice barely above a whisper. What if they reject me? What if they don't believe what I've seen? Some will reject you, Jesus said, His tone gentle but honest. Some will cling to what is familiar, unwilling to step into the unknown. But others will hear the truth and be transformed. You cannot control their response, Takoda. All you can do is speak the truth in love and trust that I will do the rest. I nodded slowly, the enormity of the mission sinking in. It won't be easy, I said, more to myself than to him. No, it won't, he agreed, but you will not be alone. My spirit will guide you, giving you the words to speak and the strength to endure. And when the path feels too difficult, remember this moment. Remember the light, the love, and the truth that has been revealed to you. I felt a warmth fill my heart, a reassurance that I couldn't fully explain. The vision of my people lost in darkness was still fresh in my mind, but so was the vision of their transformation. The choice was clear, even if the journey ahead was uncertain. Jesus placed a hand on my shoulder, his gaze steady and filled with compassion. You have been given a gift, Takoda, he said, not for your sake alone, but for the sake of those who follow you. Share the truth, not as a burden, but as an act of love. I nodded, my resolve hardening. I will, I said, my voice stronger now. I will share what you have shown me. I will lead them to you. Then go, Jesus said, a smile breaking across his face, and let the truth set them free. The warmth of Jesus' hand on my shoulder was unlike anything I'd ever felt. Steady, unwavering, and filled with purpose. His gaze held mine, a mixture of love and determination that seemed to pierce through every doubt I carried. Takoda, he said, his voice steady, you have seen the truth. Now I entrust you with a mission to bring light to your people, to guide them toward the fullness of what I have shown you. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of his words. But how? I asked, my voice trembling. How can I lead them when I've spent my life teaching them something incomplete? Will they even believe me? Jesus smiled gently, his eyes full of understanding. You will not walk this path alone, he said. My spirit will go with you, giving you the strength, wisdom, and courage you need. Your testimony will be a bridge, Takoda, a bridge between the traditions of your people and the truth of my grace. Their culture is not lost, it is fulfilled in me. As he spoke, the light around us began to shift again, forming images of my village. I saw the faces of my people, men, women, children, all gathered together, their expressions a mix of curiosity and hesitation. I saw myself standing before them, speaking words I couldn't yet hear, my hands steady despite the tremble I felt inside. Slowly, their faces softened, their eyes filled with understanding, and I saw the light of transformation spreading among them. This is what is possible, Jesus said, gesturing to the scene. Your story will touch their hearts, not because of your strength, but because of the truth you carry, the longing they feel, The questions they dare not speak, your testimony will answer them. I watched as the vision unfolded, showing moments of quiet conversations, shared meals, and sacred gatherings transformed by new meaning. I saw the young ones wide-eyed with wonder as I spoke of Jesus' love. I saw the elders, their hands trembling as they embraced the truth of grace. And I saw the ripple effects, how the light of truth spread beyond our village, touching neighboring communities and inspiring others to seek the Creator in a new way. But there will be resistance, Jesus continued, his tone softening but never wavering. The vision shifted, showing faces hardened with skepticism and fear. Some will reject what you say, clinging to what is familiar. They will question you, doubt you, and even accuse you of abandoning your heritage. But remember this, you are not called to convince them. You are called to speak the truth in love and to trust that I will work in their hearts. My chest tightened as I watched the scenes of rejection and resistance, but Jesus' presence steadied me. What if I fail? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. What if I can't do what you're asking of me? You will not fail, Takoda, he said firmly. Your success is not measured by how many accept your words, but by your faithfulness in sharing them. Obedience is what I ask of you, not perfection, and even in the face of rejection, I will be with you. I nodded slowly, the weight of his words settling into my heart. I will go, I said, my voice trembling but resolute. I will tell them what you have shown me. I will share your truth. Jesus' smile deepened, his joy radiating in a way that filled me with renewed strength. Good, he said, and remember this, their culture, their traditions, their reverence for the earth, it is not lost. I am the creator of all things, and their practices can find fulfillment in me. Teach them how to honor me through their songs, their dances, their ceremonies. Show them that their connection to the land is not separate from their faith in me, but a reflection of my creation. The vision shifted again, showing scenes of our traditions transformed. The dances that once called to the spirits were now offered as praise to the Creator. The songs that once spoke of nature's power now celebrated the one who made it. The rituals that once honored ancestors now pointed to the truth of grace and redemption through Jesus. It is not about erasing what they know, Jesus said, his voice gentle but firm. It is about revealing the truth that completes what they seek. They are not abandoning their identity, they are embracing their purpose. I felt tears streaming down my face as I watched these scenes unfold, the beauty of our culture intertwined with the light of Christ. For the first time, I understood that my mission was not to destroy what we had built, but to show my people how it all pointed to Him. And Takoda, Jesus said, his tone softening, your testimony is not just for them, it is for you. This mission will transform you as much as it transforms them. You will see my strength in your weakness, my light in your darkest moments, and my love in the faces of those you thought would never believe. I nodded again, my heart swelling with both hope and humility. Thank you, I whispered, my voice breaking. Thank you for trusting me with this. You are ready, Jesus said, his gaze steady and filled with assurance. Go with courage, go with love, and go with my spirit. The path ahead will not be easy, but it will be worth it. The light around us began to intensify, enveloping me in its warmth. I felt a sense of peace unlike anything I had ever known. A peace that came not from the absence of challenges, but from the certainty of His presence. As the light grew brighter, I felt myself being drawn back, the vision of Jesus and the heavenly realm fading as I returned to the physical world. But His words remained echoing in my heart with every beat. Go with my spirit, speak the truth, and trust in me. The first sensation I felt as I awoke was the earth beneath me, solid, grounding, and familiar. My eyes fluttered open to the dim light of my home, and for a moment I thought it had all been a dream. But the warmth in my heart, the clarity in my mind, and the lingering echo of Jesus' words told me otherwise. It had been real. Every word, every vision, every moment in His presence was as vivid as the ground beneath my hands. I sat up slowly, my body still weak but my spirit stronger than ever. Around me, my family's worried faces lit up with relief. My son grasped my hand tightly, tears streaming down his cheeks. "Father," he said, his voice shaking, "we thought we had lost you." I placed my hand over his, my voice steady as I replied, "No, my son, I have been found." The days that followed were filled with quiet recovery, but my heart burned with urgency. I had been given a mission, a truth so powerful that it could not be kept to myself. Yet I knew I had to tread carefully. My people, who trusted me as their elder and spiritual guide, would not easily accept what I had to share. Their faith in our traditions was as deeply rooted as the great oaks that surrounded our village. The first step was prayer, something I had rarely done in the personal, intimate way Jesus had shown me. Sitting by the river, I poured out my heart to Him, asking for guidance, for wisdom, and for courage. The peace that followed was like the stillness of the water before the dawn, a reminder that I was not alone. When the time came to speak, I gathered the village in the ceremonial circle. The fire crackled in the center, its light dancing on the faces of those who had looked to me for leadership their entire lives. As I stood before them, I felt the weight of their expectations, their trust, and their skepticism. "I have something to share with you," I began, my voice steady but gentle. "Something that has changed my life and my understanding of the Creator." I told them about my near-death experience, carefully recounting the visions I had seen, the truths that had been revealed. I spoke of Jesus, His presence, His love, and His words. I described the way He had shown me the beauty of our traditions, but also their incompleteness. I told them that the Creator we had sought through nature and spirits had revealed Himself fully in Jesus. The initial reaction was mixed. Some listened intently, their eyes wide with curiosity and wonder. Others frowned, their expressions guarded. A few shook their heads, their skepticism palpable. One elder stood, his voice firm as he said, "Takoda, you speak of new things, but our ways have guided us for generations. Why should we abandon what has sustained us?" I met his gaze, my heart heavy but resolute. "I'm not asking you to abandon our ways," I said. I'm asking you to see them in a new light. The Creator we have honored through the earth, the river, the sky, He is Jesus. He is the source of all life, and He has shown me that our traditions can find their true meaning in Him. The room fell silent as my words hung in the air. I could feel the tension, the resistance, but also the flicker of something deeper, a curiosity, a longing, a recognition. Over the weeks that followed, I continued to share my testimony, not with force but with love. I spoke to individuals, answering their questions, listening to their concerns. I joined families in their homes, telling them about the grace that Jesus had shown me and how it had transformed my heart. Slowly the walls began to come down. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, a young woman approached me by the river. She was holding her infant son, her eyes filled with tears. "Takoda," she said softly, "what you've said, it makes sense. I've always felt there was more, something deeper. Can you tell me more about Jesus?" In that moment, I felt the weight of my mission lift just slightly. I smiled, my heart swelling with gratitude. "Yes," I said, "I will tell you everything I know." As the months turned into years, the seeds of truth began to take root in our village. The transformation was not instant, nor was it easy. There were still those who clung to the old ways, resistant to change. But for many, the light of grace began to shine through the cracks of their doubts. Our dances became acts of praise to the Creator. Our songs carried the name of Jesus, celebrating His love and redemption. Our gatherings were filled with both the beauty of our culture and the truth of His grace. For me, the journey was as much internal as it was external. Each day, I sought Jesus in prayer, leaning on His strength to guide me through the challenges and doubts. The peace He gave me was unlike anything I had ever known, a peace that came not from certainty or control, but from trust in His presence. As I sat by the river one evening, watching the water flow gently beneath the fading light, I reflected on all that had changed. My relationship with Jesus had brought a clarity and peace that I could never have imagined. The questions that had once haunted me were now answered, not in words but in the assurance of His love. I no longer carried the burden of striving to connect with the Creator through rituals and works. Instead, I rested in the grace that had been freely given to me. My people were no longer lost in the cycle of empty traditions. Many had embraced the truth of Jesus, their lives transformed by the light of His love. And though not everyone had chosen to follow, I knew that the seeds had been planted and that the Creator would continue to work in their hearts. I closed my eyes, a prayer rising from the depths of my soul. "Thank you, Jesus," I whispered. "Thank you for showing me the truth, for giving me a mission, and for walking with me every step of the way. My life is yours, and I will continue to share your love until my last breath." The river continued its gentle course, the stars beginning to appear in the darkening sky. I felt a deep connection, not just to the earth, the water, and the sky, but to the Creator who had made them all. In Him, I had found my purpose, my peace, and my home, and for that, I would be forever grateful.